everyone, and welcome to Myco. Go, go, go! This is the very first episode of the channel. My name is Blaze, and I'd like to bring you all along with me as I journey back into mycology as a hobby. And because I'm starting over from square one, this will be a channel for use around low budget and DIY techniques utilized in mushroom growing. So I'd like to welcome you all. And we're going to start off today modifying some lids for grain spawn and liquid culture. So I'm going to glove up, adjust the camera a little bit so you can see better what I'm actually doing. Okay, so you do not want to wear latex gloves because they will interact with the silicone I'm going to be using. It's 100% silicone. It is rated for 400 degrees Fahrenheit after being cured. So let me finish gloving up. It takes me a second. Just washed my hands. I should have dried them a little better. That's my fault. So the materials we will be needing for today are some wide mouth mason jars. I prefer quart. You can use whatever size you want, I guess, but I prefer quart size. Everyone else seems to prefer quart size. All right, so I have my case of mason jars, wide mouth, because they're not only going to be used for liquid culture, but some of them are also going to be used for grain spawn. I used to have a really nice pressure canner, an All-American, but I no longer have it. Now I'm starting over from square one. So I'm basically going to be using a technique called fractional tyndallization. It's just a fancy science term for you're allowing the endospores. I'm sure you've probably heard about endospores, and you allow these heat-resistant spores from potential contaminants to germinate, right? By heating up the jars in a large pot with a lid. You heat it up really good. You sustain a pretty high temperature. You want it boiling hot for a couple hours, I would suggest. Then you let it cool off for 24 hours, right? Then you come back, you heat it up again. And then you let it cool off. 24 hours later, you do it at least one more time. You're trying to allow those spores that would otherwise not germinate and stay heat resistant to germinate, thereby making them vulnerable to a simple steam sterilization. And once you kill off those spores after they're vulnerable, then that grain is perfectly fine for inoculating with some mushroom liquid culture or some agar or whatever you prefer. Anyway, here's my jars. I have a hole punch. I actually have some leftover. This isn't so much low budget DIY, but this serves the same purpose as what you can do with some polyfill. I don't have any polyfill on hand, but in the future, I will be using some polyfill to modify some lids and whatever else. But right now, I have some leftover filter patches that I bought. I want to say from Midwest Grow Kits. It was either that or Micropose. I always recommend you buy your mycology supplies from a reputable vendor that sells stuff specifically for mycology, and don't buy that cheap crap on Amazon from China that you don't know where it's actually coming from or what it's made of or any of the specs or anything. And I've done that, and it's a fail every time. So make sure you buy your stuff from a mycology supply website. I recommend if you are going to buy anything and not DIY, low budget everything. But I got these from Midwest Grow Kit, highly recommended. And I'm not affiliated with them or any other mycology supply or channel. But I do want to give a shout out to Fungaia, another channel where I'm getting all the source information from to create these modded lids. Okay, moving on. I have 100% silicone. It's what we need. You need 100% silicone. It doesn't have to be RTV, high temp, blah, 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 all that. It says right on it that, all right, application temperature withstand up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Service temperature, that means after it's cured, it can withstand up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So perfectly fine. We can use this. You can still put it in a pressure canner. You can use it for steam sterilization. You just have to let it cure for 24 hours. You have to let this stuff cure before you use it. I recommend it. Highly recommended. All right. So as you can see, I've already tested out my new hole punch that I got off Amazon. I've punched some holes in the lid. See? Never actually done it like that. I usually just use a drill and a drill bit, and you can do that. But, you know, it does kind of bend the metal a little bit. And do you want it to be more straight and level? Yes, you do. So the better option is to use a hole punch. If you can't, you can drill it, whatever. But, you know, it creates more damage. It creates more, there's like metal dust and burrs and crap that you have to clean up, you know. Not so with a hole punch. You punch a hole through and it works just fine. All right, so I already punched a hole on this one. Actually, first we're going to do our filter patch. I feel like that's going to make things a little bit easier. Do our filter patch first. All right. So here we go. You want to line it up because around the outer rim on the bottom side, there's all the adhesive part, right? You don't want to put that part over the hole. You want to try to line it up with the middle part of this patch, filter patch, with the hole. But like I said, you can use polyfill for the exact same purpose, all right? So that's going to be your filter patch. That's going to allow your fresh air exchange, your FAE. Otherwise, you could just use polyfill, and you wouldn't even necessarily even need to do a self-healing injection port DIY or add a self-healing adhesive injection port, because the polyfill not only acts as your fresh air exchange, but it also acts as your self-healing injection port. So you can just inject through that. However, do not heat up your syringe right before sticking it in your polyfill, because the polyfill is polyester. It's made of plastic. It will melt. You have to be mindful of things like that. All right. Another thing you have to be mindful of in mycology is just the fact that there's always particles floating in the air. Before you start working with mushroom mycelium in your still air box, even, you want to make sure you got your fans, all your fans off, your air conditioners off. No doors to the outside have been open recently for the past 30 minutes to an hour. You want to make sure there's like no air movement. You want the air to be as still as possible so that you can go in and do your work. If there's a bunch of air movement, that means there's dust and contaminants blowing around everywhere, and it's going to make it a lot less likely that you're going to have a successful operation when you're working even in your still air box. Now, if you have a laminar flow hood, you don't have to so much worry about things like that, but I've never had one. I've never made one. Maybe in a future video, I will show how you can make a low budget DIY laminar flow hood, like Gordo Tech. So shout out to Gordo Tech for all of his low budget DIY videos, and all the other mycology experts out there doing DIY. I highly respect people like that. And I just like to help contribute. So, all right. And I'd like to share my experience as I journey back into mycology, because, it's a cool hobby once you get into it. It's pretty interesting. It's fun. It's different. You learn about how different fungus is from everything else, but also at the same time, you get to learn about how everything is kind of connected. Everything's connected, man. Anyway, all right, here's our silicone. All right, so according to the video I watched, well, I may have to trim this. Haven't used it for a while. All right, so according to the video I watched, which was by Fungi, you want to make sure you get your silicone a good quarter of an inch thick. How you go about actually measuring that, I don't know, but just eyeball it best you can, right? Sometimes things are just trial and error, and you can only do the best you can. Just like right now, I got to figure out how to get this silicone. I know it's not dried up. It's just the tip. It's just the tip. All right, there we go. Back in rhythm. Silicone. There's still like a plug in it. Ooh, there we go. There we go. Got it out. It's plugged up. This is not a new tube. It's been used. All right, there we go. All right, let me angle the camera down a little better. Let's see here. All right. We are going to put the silicone around the hole to really squeeze it. It's okay. It's better to use more than not enough, I always say. Remember, you do not want latex gloves. For whatever reason, it will have a weird chemical reaction or something with the silicone. Use nitro gloves. That's what I'm using. You want to swirl it around without really pressing it too much. It's going to go through the other side, don't worry. You want it to be thick. You want it to be effective. If I can get it to stop sticking to my glove. And don't worry if it looks messy. I mean, who cares? As long as it's effective, right? I don't know how well you guys can actually see that, but you get the gist of it, right? All right. So I'm going to continue to do the same thing with like 5 other jars. I'm going to save the other 5 because I have these plastic ball jar lids that I like to use, and I'm going to actually fork over the money for those ones to modify them the way that I usually do, which is by buying some self-healing injection ports from Midwest Grow Kits that are adhesive, and then I just use the filter batch like this. But I will be showing some low budget, more DIY stuff, low budget stuff mainly, and how to use polyfill and stuff like that in the future, because I already have some polyfill and some syringes and a new still air box and all this ordered and on the way. I just have to wait for it. All right. So that's how you modify your lids. You let it cure for 24 hours, then you can use it. All right. Should be fine. I'll always read the fine print though. You always want to read the silicone, the back of it, and look at the rating. Make sure it's good. Make sure it's 100% silicone. If it is, you check those 2 boxes, then it's good. You can use it. All right. All right. So in a future episode, I'm going to show how we make some. Let's see. The first one I'm going to do is I'm going to show how to make some agar without a pressure canner. And I may even pour some out in my still air box into some condiment cups, even though I don't like to use condiment cups, but I don't have my autoclavable Petri dishes that I bought from Myco anymore. So I'm back to using jars and condiment cups. Funny story, when I first started out doing mycology, I actually would find a good amount of my supplies just dumpster diving, just happen upon a box of Petri dishes still in the plastic and everything. And I was like, score. And then I started, it was around the time I first started learning about mushroom mycology and mushroom growing and stuff like that. So I started to make my own agar, like I went and got agar and figured out step by step how to do it. And I even found a flask, an Erlenmeyer flask that was perfect for making agar in a dumpster. And so, like, I'm not above dumpster diving for stuff. I don't really dumpster dive anymore. But when I lived in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, in the city, yeah, I used to do it. I used to dumpster dive from time to time. Rich people throw nice stuff out on the curb. I'm a guy who will go pick it up and use it or resell it or fix it or whatever, because I'm like, hey, that could be used. Why put it in a landfill? Why be wasteful? Anyway, what's one other thing I wanted to show before ending the video? I guess I could show myself doing all 6 of these lids. Oh, one thing I didn't show is I didn't show actually cutting holes in the lids. Whoops. And it is kind of tough. I mean, it takes a little bit of strength. You got to really, And it also doesn't necessarily come out super easy all the time either, but it's still a lot nicer looking and creates a lot less of a mess than drilling a hole in it, which you can. But, after using a hole punch, it's like, this is the better option, so I'm going to use the hole punch from now on, even though I could use my drill. Boom. See? All right. So pros and cons with everything, right? But I think that looks pretty freaking nice compared to using a drill and then having to clean the hole up and blah, 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 and all that. So what was the other thing? Oh, yeah. I wanted to show you guys the still air box that I just made. Let me show you. I'll be honest, making it was kind of pointless because now I have a new one ordered and on the way that's much nicer. So you might not even see me use this. This might be something to just hold grain jars and mycoculture in, and maybe I'll put some filter patches or polyfill over here just to keep the air filtered. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll take forever for the still air box to get here in the mail, and you'll see me using my ghetto still air box right here, which I've used the ghetto still air boxes before, and they work just fine if you use them correctly. I feel like one of the major factors in mycology is just being mindful of the air and contaminants in the air and the movement of the air. It's all about like contamination, and it's all around us, but like it's especially flying around everywhere when the air is moving, right? I mean, think about it. The heavier particles, when they have the allowance to settle, they will. But if there's fans blowing and air current and all that, then you have contamination just everywhere. There's no avoiding it, right? So I cut some holes in here, and normally, right, I would just do it the old-fashioned ghetto way and just get like a clothes hanger red hot, right? Carefully get a clothes hanger, torch it red hot, wear gloves, and carefully burn a hole into your tub or your tote, because I don't have a hole saw bit big enough to cut a big hole like this, right? Well, I happened to mention this to my dad. By the way, I don't know if I even introduced myself. I'm Blaze. Nice to meet everyone. But I happened to mention to my dad, like, hey, I need to cut some holes in this. Do you happen to have a better way, or do you know of an easier way? And I'm kind of glad that I did say something to him, because he's like, oh, yeah, I got this hydraulic press that you can use. It's a hydraulic cutter, and you can use it to cut holes and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. Is it going to shatter the plastic? That's what I'm worried about. Is it going to like just shatter it as I'm trying to cut a hole in it. He's like, no, it's not. It cuts it from the sides. And I'm like, all right, well, like if you're so sure, then I'll try it. Let's give it a try. And lo and behold, it worked really nice, and it even created like a smooth edge on the inside, which usually when you like use a hole saw bit or something like that and you cut it, it ends up leaving all this crap that you have to cut off with like a razor knife or something, just like this. Like sometimes you can get it in one single like strand. Don't ever cut towards yourself like I was just doing. Don't ever cut towards yourself, kids. That's stupid. Or adults, just don't cut towards yourself. It's not smart. But you just got to take a razor knife around the edges and trim it up. But when you use the hydraulic cutter, like my dad suggested, it works really nice, and it keeps the inside edge really smooth. So you don't even have to clean that edge up, just the outside. So that's my still air box. That's my video for today. Very first ever trial video, live stream. Wait, I might as well show you the hydraulic press that I have, because it actually is kind of cool, and I'll show you how it operates on a piece of cardboard or something. I'll be right back. Hold, please. Hola, I'm back. All right, let's see here. We got this really heavy duty hydraulic punch driver, and I'm going to show you how it works real quick. This isn't necessarily a low budget technique right here. Like I said, the low budget technique would be to like show you how to take a clothes hanger or some kind of piece of metal and get it red hot and just burn a hole in the tote, which is totally doable. But you know what? I don't like the smell of burning plastic. I'm sure a lot of people out there don't either. I'm just not a fan of it. So first, initially, you have to like take a big drill bit, right? And drill a good size hole, or put a hole in there somehow carefully. Don't shatter the plastic. So you get that initial hole in there, right? This is the big bolt. First, you got to start out with the smaller bolt, the adapter bolt. All right, so you screw that smaller adapter bolt in there. This is pretty neat. I wish I would have known about this tool a long time ago. I would have used it or tried to get one or something, but now I know, life is all about learning. Never stop learning. Never stop being interested. You lose your passion that way. All right, so. All right. Then you take these two pieces. Let me get closer to the camera. Take this bit, you put it on here. You take the cutting bit, right? And you hold on to that. Oh, wait, yeah, I guess I gotta put a hole in here somehow. Remember, this is just for demonstrative purposes. I don't have another tote to cut up on at the moment. But in future videos, you will see me not only use a hole saw bit to put holes in totes, but you will also see me use this hydraulic press. Because I like to show multiple ways of doing things, you know. Why not? So you got your hole. You stick the bolt through there. You know, you'd probably be sideways or holding it like this. So take your cutting bit. Wait, what did I do wrong here? Now it looks stupid. Oh, because that's not the right size one. This is a dirt. All right. There we go. Now we're doing it correctly. I had the wrong size bit. So you're going to put the your bolt through there. You take your cutting bit. You start screwing it on. Right? Because you want to create an even bigger hole. If you didn't create a big enough one initially, you use this to create a bigger hole. You tighten your hydraulic pump. It's already tight. And then you start pumping. And what it does is it presses that bit slowly, starting from the sides, through whatever you're trying to cut. Boom, 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 bam. Boom, shakalaka. All right, and that's already through. And then you can just you can loosen your pump thing. And then boom. You have another clean hole. Then you want a bigger hole, right? I do. I want a bigger hole. All right, so what you do is you unscrew this bit. You take this all back off, right? Take all of this back off. Oh, and I'm dropping everything doing it, but that's all right. Then you take off the adapter bit, and then what we got here is this bigger bit. This is the smaller adapter bit. Screw that out of there. Then you put in the bigger bit. Boom, the bigger bolt bit. All right. Now we got the big humongosaur on there. Look at that. All right. You got the humongosaur. You put the hole. Put it through the hole. You get your cutting bit. Pretty big bit. Screw it on there. Woo! Myco! Go, go, go! It's the name of the channel. Welcome to the channel. All right. So you screw that on there as good as you can. You tighten the hydraulic pump. And you pump. Pump, 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 pump. All right, and it's already through there. Look at that. Boom. And that's how you do that. And when you do this on your tote, it creates a really smooth side, at least on one side, because it kind of stretches the plastic a little bit before it cuts, I guess. I'm not really sure. But anyway, this is great for making holes in your totes. And you can even use it to make a giant hole that you can fit your arm through for your still air box or whatever. Really clean cut and really like it. It doesn't shatter the plastic and it can be done, guys. So, all right. Thank you for joining the live stream. I guess I'm going to end it at that because that's all I got prepared for today's video. This was kind of a trial run. And tomorrow or the next day will be another video about agar, making agar powder, or making agar in jars, and possibly using my ghetto still air box. All right. Thank you for joining, guys. I actually don't know how to end the chat, but I'm sure I'll figure it out, right? In stream. There we go. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you for coming in, joining the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, we're helping out all the other low-budget DIYers out there by sharing and just sharing our knowledge and information and helping expand the science of mycology together. Thank you for joining. All right, goodbye, everyone. Till next time.